Hello. On today's little episode, we're going to be doing a review of X-Men, specifically X-Men 1 and X2. And I've actually done this before in a video called this Roller Coaster in the Clouds, the X-Men trilogy. So I did the first three movies. And I'm going to leave that in the description if I remember. But I really wanted to do a repeat, although I was kind of like thinking like, don't do a repeat, you've already done it. But then I was like, why do I care? I should just do it if I want to. And I think maybe I'll do it a bit better now, or maybe I'll see some things I didn't see before. So let's get into it. Oh, and so I mentioned in my Young Pope review, I believe, if my memory's correct. If not, I'm mentioning it here. I'm going to be doing a video on this channel. I could have posted it to my Mr. Beats channel, but I'm deciding to post it here. And I'm going to make like beet ravioli. So, and from scratch, I'm going to do it. So it's going to not be like this, but ravioli with a filling in the middle. Let's see if there's any ravioli. Yeah, it's going to be something like this. And we're going to make it together on my channel. And I've actually never made ravioli, but I've made pasta from scratch. And I have the pasta making equipment. And I bought a ravioli roller that gives you these sides. And it's going to be very cool. And if it doesn't work out, I think it'll still be a fun video. But I think it's going to be fine, hopefully. It'll at least be passable, Okay, so you have that to look forward to. Hopefully I can do that this week. But let's get started on X-Men. So I just rewatched these two movies over the past 2 days. Again, I haven't seen these movies that much compared to, most other superhero movies. But I'm beginning to realize it's a mistake not to like rewatch these movies more, because I rewatch other superhero movies a lot. I watched these movies when I was a kid, although I don't seem to like remember when or very much about them. Because I think I may have been very young. I may have been 5 or 6, and I don't think I saw them much, but I remembered certain scenes quite well. Yeah, so I watched them probably when I was like 5 or 6, and then, like 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, I rewatched them for the first time in many years, and I really liked them. I made that YouTube video review that I'll put in the description, and now I rewatched them again, and I think that's my third time rewatching at least X-Men and X2. I've watched Days of Future Past a few times. I've watched X-Men First Class like 5 times or 4 times. That's a very good movie too. However, I think X-Men and X2 are very special films. I've heard these described as like an early outing into the superhero genre, slightly goofy. However, when I watch this, I think that that's an incorrect description. Yes, I think maybe at times the CGI can be not the best, although sometimes it's really good. And yes, there's a few one-liners that don't land as well as like I am Iron Man or something like that. But overall, these aren't goofy films, and they are actually pretty serious, and they create some great moments and characters that I really love. It's directed by Bryan Singer, who's actually a very good director who made one of my favorite movies of all time. You Shall Owe Us Pecs, if you remember from, what was it called? The Mad Gab game? Was that it? Yeah, Mad Gab. This was a funny game, and we put the little dental things in our mouths to make it sound even worse. Um, and you say like nonsensical things, and the other person has to guess it. It was really fun. Usual OS Pex was Usual Suspects. I love that. And there was also Gordon Ramsay. I remember Omzi. That's what it sounded like, Omzi. These are all just memories. I haven't rewatched it for reasons. But yeah, that was fun. Yeah. So that's Bryan Singer. Let's do cast first. Cast is kind of goated. Oh, no way. I didn't know he was in this film. Wait, Toad. Who's Toad? Oh, it's this guy. It's Darth Maul. Darth Maul's actor. That's pretty funny. Anyway, Patrick Stewart, amazing. Ian McKellen, amazing. Famke Janssen is very good. Hugh Jackman, amazing. Halle Berry is very good too. Who else? Yeah, I think that's mainly the stellar cast. So let's get into it. Let's see what was it nominated for. Saturn Awards. Did not get any Oscar noms. I saw this really funny list on IMDb. It was like best movies, 35 best movies, and it was like, all the things you expect is like Godfather, 2001, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, etc. Like great movie, great movie, great movie. And then like all of a sudden it was like number 33, Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, what? It was so stupid. And it was done by like an online poll, but still, I mean, everything was great. I'm not saying Guardians of the Galaxy isn't very good, but is it top 35? So stupid. Okay. Let's just open this. So, X-Men sort of starts out with a very good sort of thing to think about in the back of your mind. It starts with the character of Magneto as a boy in a concentration camp, and we basically are introduced to the allegory that like what's happening to the mutants is similar to what happened in the Holocaust. Like fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, leads to killing a bunch of people. And it also begins the, in my opinion, one of the most understandable, sympathetic, justified villains, which is Magneto, because you definitely understand where he's coming from, and he's frankly right about it in the end, and he's right about a lot of things. And he's not, in my opinion, he's definitely not pure evil by any means. He's just a very broken person. And yeah, we get that scene, which is very good. And then, oh yeah, we get the scene where Marie, who is later known as Rogue, when she becomes a mutant, she like kisses her boyfriend, and like it looks like he dies, but then you find out he survived, but he went into like a coma just because she kissed him. And this is her power. It basically kills normal people or severely injures them. Then we get this senator who's fighting to make a mutant registration act. So there's echoes of like Nazi Germany and other tyrannical regimes like making lists of people that they intend to do harm to. The mutations are triggered at puberty under condition of heightened emotional stress. Sorry, I'm like kind of not doing the best on reading, but I don't know. Don't know why. And there's like a lot of reasonable fears the humans have that these mutants are so powerful that they could really do damage to everyone else. Oh, I'm so tired, man. Okay. Nearby telepathic mutant Charles Xavier receives Lencher, who goes by the name of Magneto, and is concerned with how he'll respond to the Registration Act. He basically says that there's a war coming and he's gonna fight it. Then Wolverine is introduced to Rogue, who's the girl that almost killed her boyfriend. And he basically gets into a bar fight, there's a car crash. Turns out Magneto is looking for him, but he survives a fiery car crash. Very cool scene. And then the Senator is abducted by Magneto, and Magneto essentially attempts to and succeeds in giving the Senator mutant powers. Basically, turn a world leader into one of us, and then he'll be on our side, basically. It's also actually a good plan. I apologize. I don't know. I don't know if I should continue or just stop doing this. Okay, I'll continue. Um, where was I? I'll just skip down here. You'll have to forgive my poor review this time. At least when I'm reading, I just don't have the energy right now. Abducted by Mystique. Okay, Senator Kelly. Yeah, we did that part. Rogue visits Logan during the night while he's having a light nightmare. Startled, he accidentally stabs her but manages to absorb his healing power and recover. Rogue is convinced by Mystique that Xavier is angry with her and that she should leave the school. Having left ahead of Storm and Cyclops, I'm actually just going to stop reading the synopsis and just talk about the movies. I don't know why, I just can't do it today. So we'll just talk about it normally. So what I really like about this film is I think everything leading up to like the final battle is great. And I think the final battle is very good. I don't think that it's bad by any means. I just think the beginning of the film is more interesting, where you get to learn about all the characters, and there's this girl Rogue that's kind of this tragic character that, she can't even like bump into someone without killing them. She can't, hug someone or, kiss someone, whatever. And she's basically like the most, well, I suppose the ones that really look like monsters are the most monstery ones, but the ones that, or her, she's just a monster just by, everyone's afraid to go next to her. And that's very pure. And I like purity. I think I've talked about this before. I like purity a lot. Yeah, so the team like goes to stop Magneto, who intends to use his machine on the world leaders who are assembling at a summit, and he's basically gonna turn the world on his side. But essentially, the X-Men find out that the senator he converted like died unbeknownst to Magneto, so he's basically gonna kill the world leaders, and it might engulf New York too. And he's essentially going to use Rogue as a battery because she can absorb power, and Magneto is not strong enough to do it alone. So that's like the premise of the final battle. But to me, this film stands out in just really stellar performances, awesome superheroes, and I'm pretty convinced I said this on my last review, although it was a few years ago, and I don't think I've rewatched the review. But I'm pretty sure I mentioned that what I really love and appreciate about the X-Men is I love how different and diverse all of the characters' powers are, and they're all like really clearly defined. One problem that came of the later MCU is it just felt like everybody was just similar in terms of what they could do. Is like they just all punch really hard and they can take a lot of damage. That's what it became. But what I love about this is it really felt everyone had a specialty. Like Storm had her really specific specialty. She could like do lightning. She could make, things happen with clouds and stuff. And she felt like in a hand-to-hand fight, sometimes she would be weaker. But someone like Logan is kind of like an animal where he's like really powerful. He has that healing ability and he has like a lesser known power where he has like a strong sense of smell. So it's kind of like an animal. Then you have like a very compelling character of Jean Grey, played by Famke Jensen, who is this like kind of like repressed superhero where she's supposed to be really powerful, but she says she doesn't like have the gift all set out yet. Like she doesn't have let's see. She doesn't have like the full ability yet. And then like Magneto controls metal, simple. Xavier, telepathy, great. So simple, clear, fun. Even like the side characters like Toad, Rogue, how good of a character is that? Very tragic superpower. This is like what a superhero movie should be. And also just some of the superheroes are some of my favorites. I would say, Magneto, Professor X, and Logan, Wolverine are definitely all in the top 10. I'd say probably maybe even a top 5. I also really like Storm, I will say. But she would be like in a top 10, I would say, or top 15 maybe. And Halle Berry is quite good. Okay, so where else should I talk about in this film? It's funny. It's got great action. It's got some awesome scenes that I really love. The ending scene with Magneto in the prison is just like perfect. This is from X2, sorry. The whole like underground area of the school is just perfectly done. I'm trying to look for the scene. They don't have it. I'm using one hand. I apologize. I'm holding the microphone. I can't find it. Oh yeah, this scene. This scene is incredible. It's so sick when he turns all the guns of the cops on them. And that's the moment where you're like, oh yeah, this is a great character. Like he's a freaking boss. And yeah, that's X-Men. I think it's a fantastic film. I'd actually give it like a 9 out of 10, I think. It's a great movie in my opinion. And I need to watch it more. X2. X2, in my opinion, is only slightly better, and I'm not even 100% sure about that. Although I feel when people talk about it, they're like, oh, it's a lot better, but I don't actually agree with that. But it continues the great cast, but it adds some people that are really good. I think Wagner was a compelling character. He was like I think he was supposed to be like a devout Catholic that has a mutation. And the best character is William Stryker, played by an amazing actor, Brian Cox, who is in the Bourne trilogy. He was in Succession, though I haven't seen the show. I've seen clips. Very good. What else was he in? Sorry, I know the other stuff. I just forgot. Troy, yeah. He was, even though the dialogue was cheesy, he was good to watch. Okay, so oh yeah, Bobby was cool too. Who else did I like? Raven. Raven was cool. Okay. We'll skim the synopsis. So, essentially, the film begins with an assassination attempt. Very cool scene, played with classical music of Nightcrawler, who's that devout Catholic I was talking about. He later it turns out he was not doing it on his own accord. Someone was controlling him. But he's attempting to assassinate the president. Last minute, he's stopped. And Logan reunites with Rogue at the school and reunites with everyone. Cyclops and the Professor visit Magneto to see if he had any part on the attack, but basically, it turns out William Stryker has been extracting information from Magneto, and the president gives permission for a special operation to capture the mutants at Charles Xavier's school. And basically, Magneto is giving information about the school to Stryker, and you kind of lose respect for Magneto in that moment that he's like, he's betraying his fellow mutants, but it turns out that Stryker has like basically like a drug that makes the mutants obedient. And he takes 6 students and managed to break inside Cerebro, which basically is the thing Charles Xavier uses to basically peer into other people's minds all across the world and see everybody. Essentially, he could see all mutants and kill them all under the proper circumstances. Yeah, there's a good scene where they go back to Bobby's parents' house and there's a fight with police. Magneto and Mystique team up with the X-Men as they go find Stryker, who's holding the professor captive, as well as Cyclops. And this is actually quite a disturbing scene. So Stryker's child was a mutant, and he basically had mind control powers, and he sent him to Charles to get cured, but Charles failed, and then he's basically turned his son into like a slave that he controls, and he's going to use his son to basically convince Charles through mind control to like kill every single mutant in the world with Cerebro, which he's like reconstructed at an underground base where Logan was created. This is all like peppered throughout the plot, like Logan trying to find out who he is. At the end of the last film, Charles kind of put him on the right path to figuring it out. At this time, Wolverine fights a female Wolverine, Lady Deathstrike, that Stryker has created. And he beats her in a very cool scene where he like pumps her full of adamantium. And she like, it reminded me of that scene of Kill Bill. Remember where what was her name? Was it Yugo? No. What was the girl's name? Bill one Japanese girl. What was her name again? Go-Go, not Yugo. I'm such an idiot. Remember when like the blood was coming out of her eyes? Yeah, this it came out the same year, so I guess it wasn't copied. But when he pumps her full of adamantium, the adamantium like drips out of her eyes like this. It was pretty cool. I wonder if they have that picture here. Nope. Um, yeah, also Stryker kind of like tempts Wolverine to save his life by saying like, "I'll tell you everything you want to know about your life. I'm the only one that can do it." The like last act of the movie is about an hour. It's about half the film. It's very good. And basically the dam is collapsing that's above this underground facility. They got to escape. They get Charles out of Cerebro, and Magneto, before they break Charles out, Magneto essentially tricked Stryker's son with the mind control power to like tell Charles to kill all of humanity. So Magneto can't be a hero for long. He has to do the villain thing. And he sort of tells them the humans are dying. Magneto rides off in the helicopter. Um, they escape, but the helicopter's gone, so a rogue kind of crash lands the jet. They get in it, the thrusters are damaged, so they can't lift off. The dam is collapsing. There's going to be a huge tidal wave. And this is when Jean Grey Jean Grey kind of like gets her confidence as a superhero, and she basically has been sort of building in her power this whole movie, and she goes out and very heroically sacrifices herself by lifting the jet and creating a telekinetic wall as a shield from the water, and she basically dies and sacrifices herself. Very cool scene. Powerful. There's a cool scene where they speak with the president using Charles's power to like stop time and create illusions, and they tell him like this is an opportunity to like make peace and let's not start a war. So the film ends with a voiceover by Jean Grey on the process of evolution. The camera floats over Alkali Lake, showing a vague shape of a phoenix flying above it, hinting at her survival. The end of this film, where it hints at her survival, makes me depressed because I think of what the last film could have been. The last film isn't like a terrible film by any means, however, it's so much worse than the first two. I think if that film was a great film, this trilogy would have been just so powerful in people's brains, but because it ended on a kind of a poor note, maybe people don't consider the X-Men at the same level as like stuff that came out later like Marvel. But I absolutely love the first two. I think they can stand up to most Marvel movies, the majority of them. I hated this scene as a kid when the kid I think if I remember correctly, he's trying to cut off his wings as a kid, and it freaked me out so much as a child, and still to this day, that scene, I dread that scene. It's just, I don't know, something so violent about it, trying to cut off your wings. I think it's from my fear of losing limbs, which is a long-standing fear I have. Of course, we all have that fear, but my fear of losing limbs was a irrational fear, And what I mean by that is like I was in no danger of losing him, but I was very scared of it. And when I would see it, it would freak me out. I see. So Brett Ratner did the last film. What a shame. He's actually like made some pretty decent movies, like Rush Hour. It was pretty damn good. Red Dragon's a good film. Definitely not. Shouldn't have been made. What the hell is this? Strange. Is this like a fan fiction of Stanley Kubrick making Napoleon? How weird. Anyway, what a shame this film didn't live up to the first two, and what a shame Bryan Singer didn't do it. I don't know why. Don't know why. X2. X2 is, in my opinion, either about the same as the first X-Men or just slightly better. I think the action's just maybe a bit cleaner. And in my opinion, it just makes like the whole villain plot a little better, while also giving Magneto like that last moment of like being the ultimate villain. Brian Stryker, is it Brian? No, what was it? I forget his name. William, I apologize. William Stryker is a great villain that is quite disturbing, especially what he did to his son. He's also very cold. Like, he's fine with mutants as long as they're like his slaves and they do whatever he wants. So he's kind of like a collector of people, including his own son. Well, he considers them animals, and he also creates mutants in the case of Wolverine. Okay, I want to talk about something about Wolverine, and then we'll go back to X2 in general. Like, look at his hair here. So it's like unique. You really never see hair like that, and like this is like also, totally normal. This is like sort of more unique, but look at his hair and like these two. Look how, like, I don't understand how they even did that. It looks very strange, but in like a good way. And I was like so confused, not confused, but when I was watching, I was like, look at his hair. That's just strange. And it reminded me of like an actual animal, which I like because it adds to his like character. By the way, in retrospect, can we all agree that this is a totally unnecessary movie? I liked the movie. It was not pretty damn good. It was pretty good. Like, it was funny, but not letting this be the end of the character was because how great was Logan, the film? And this was just like a kind of dumb multiverse movie. Oh yeah, the action scene at the freaking school was insane. I loved this. This scene made me laugh. Like, it was so cool. Not laugh like haha, like laugh because of how happy it made me. This character was a little interesting. He's like a mutant with an ego, and at the end he joins Magneto, who's like, you're a god amongst insects. He like speaks his language. Okay, I'm not into black girls, but I gotta admit, Halle Berry is quite beautiful in this movie. Very beautiful. Yeah, this guy was very good. He was very likable, although he was a little bit hard to warm to at the beginning just because of his appearance. He's very strange to look at. Scott is quite a cool character, Cyclops. I like Raven. Raven's cool. She's kind of like a Natasha Romanoff spy character, but way better. Magneto, as always, he's like the GOAT. This was a compelling relationship. I like this a lot. And I think Rogue is a fantastic, tragic character. She looks very familiar to me. That face is very familiar. She's pretty still. I guess she's like 40 something. She hasn't completely. Oh gosh, never mind. I hate this. So sad. Everybody just decomposes. I swear I've seen her in something though. Maybe it was a show. I guess not. Oh, no, I know who it is. She looks. Oh god, what's her name? I think she looks like some athlete that I'm thinking of. Like a gymnast. It's not Livy Dunn. No, that's not it. It's some other girl. She looks very similar to her, I swear. I liked him too. He played Bobby. I don't know what his mutant name was. Something Ice. Something. Iceman. Yeah, Jean, like I said, had a very cool ending. I liked her sacrifice. It definitely was a powerful scene. The brilliance of X-Men and X-Men 2 is like it actually does quite a bit of like show don't tell. Like I love how the plot is sort of slowly built up. People's powers are built up. It really does a fine job. See, look how his hair is like. It's kind of like Kim Jong-un, but like not terrible. Bro's been watching the X-Men. This is like a bad version of Wolverine. He's a chubby boy, this one. He's very chubby. But I think he's lost weight. My man Kim Jong. Oh, this scene is sick. Very cool, very well built up, and I like how it didn't tell you exactly what happened originally. Essentially, Raven, using her powers, transforms into a very attractive woman, finds this dude at a bar that she knows is a security guard for Magneto. She drugs him and then pretends she's going to have relations with him. Let's keep it clean. And she basically passes out and she grabs something. It's like a big syringe filled with something that's gray, and then she pumps him full of it. And then that's all we see, and we're like, what's that? We don't know what's going on. And then it transforms to this scene, and the guy walks in. It reminded me of Silence of the Lambs, the prison scene, or the cage scene. But he brings the food in, and Magneto was like a shark. He was like, there's something different about you. And he stands up, and he's like a shark looking at blood. And he's like, Yes, there is. And he says, too much iron in your blood. And then he pulls out metal from the guy's chest that was in his bloodstream. It was like, whoa. This guy is just awesome. It's like, he's the man. And then Magneto basically uses those two tiny, or a couple tiny pieces of metal to like kill everybody in sight and like fly away. Yeah, like I say, the school fight scene was awesome. Alright, I'm wasting your time. I apologize. That's the guy from Deadpool, I'm pretty sure. Not Cyclops. Not Cyclops. What is it? It's the other one. After that, I'll leave you alone. I apologize. This review is a little bit. I was just a little bit not tired, just not in it, you know? I didn't realize it until I got going a bit. I'm trying to find the guy's name. Why can't I find him? Metal guy, X-Men, Colossus. Yeah. So he was in Deadpool, and then he was that guy, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, that is Colossus. So this is his evolution. Oh yeah, I remember him in this. I believe he's in the intro scene, if I'm remembering. And yeah, okay guys, I apologize for keeping you. Keep your eye out for me making beet pasta. I think it'll be a fun one.